Well, the role of members of parliament is wider than what is documented. Definitely, most of those elected possibly don't know their role, but they have been elected to be members of parliament. So while they are in, they will learn some of the roles, but I think it's wider. Members of parliament, as if you go by the documentations, they should do 4 roles. They do legislation, registration is making of laws, they do representation, which is bringing the issues of your people to parliament and getting a response, you take it back to them. You do oversight, supervising government projects, and importantly, you do appropriation. This is the budget. It's for you, the member of parliament, to know that in the budget of Uganda, something is going to your people. So those are the 4 cardinal or orthodox roles of members of parliament. But in practical sense, that's not where it ends. If you choose to work on only those 4, then the guarantee of your return to parliament is limited. So you must balance between those roles and expectations of the people from you. The people need you to be close to them. The people need you to attend burials. The people need you to attend the weddings. The people need you to do so many things to reflect that you understand their problems. Yes, representation, bringing their problems to parliament, is really bringing their issues, but you go beyond that. It takes leadership to balance. Know that you have time to be on the ground with them, then have time to do your leadership roles, your parliamentary roles. But like you asked whether people know their roles, some members of parliament or some leaders think as long as he's close with the people, whether he represents them in parliament or not, it doesn't matter. And some win always elections even without representing their people in parliament, just because they stay with them. But you make your people miss on government services which would have lobbied for them in the parliament. Because if my people don't have power, it's my role to bring it to parliament and explain to government that we need the power, and then they can arrange to bring the power. They don't have water, they don't have social services. So if you choose to stay down on the ground, be with the people without coming to present their problems here also, they lag behind even when they always vote for you. To me, this the role of members of parliament. They should bridge the people with the government, bring their issues to parliament, to government, and also get responses and take them back to the people and keep that balance. The public view is that parliament is composed of everyone. So of course the expectations of parliament, members of parliament, the decorum, the honor, being an honorable means you fit a certain level. So you might be elected when you are not honorable because you have just been elected, but you must fit into the decorum of parliament, the way you behave, the way you talk, the way you do your things generally. But that doesn't mean that you lose your originality of where you come from and the people you have come from. So what ought to be as parliament? Parliament ought to be a place of ideas, discussions, debate, really, and everybody elected should have time to present themselves. What parliament ought not to be, I mean, even when you have been elected as a boxer, we don't expect you to be boxing in parliament. Even when you have experience in taekwondo or any other, we expect you to keep the decorum of parliament. You can represent your people well without going outside the normal, and this can help. This is necessary to keep the quality and the caliber of parliament. And people shouldn't worry. You may be elected when you don't know about parliament. You come in, you master parliament. You become a good fitting member of parliament as long as you balance. Yes, parliament should have a scorecard. It's important for parliament to have a scorecard because it's an assessment on the way the elected people, the elected members of parliament are performing their roles. So the scorecard informs the voters that this man you elected to parliament actually attends parliament, actually speaks for you, actually cares about you, talks about your projects, talks about your problems. The scorecard is important to reveal this to the voters because it's a feedback. The paradox is that sometimes even when the parliament reflects that so-and-so is a good performer in parliament, the voters, the factors they consider to vote for people are different from the performance actually in the parliament. So you come and work as a leader, work for them. But when the campaign comes, you have to fit in those other considerations. In some areas, they may vote for tribe, they may vote for religion, they may vote for what? It's, a big drive, the divide. But they vote for factors. Some are bribed, they are given money to vote. Others are, it's really wide. The factors at play are not orthodox, or they don't contribute to the performance of the member of parliament. Even when people stay backward, they don't have services, but somebody keeps them moving because he bribes them to vote. So those few segregations are there, but in actual sense, I think citizens should vote members of parliament who perform, who relate to them. They bring them services. If you voted me and you didn't have any government school, and now I've been able to struggle and get like 3 government schools or 5, I think it should be good to say, hey, somebody's working, and the scorecard always reflects that. The criteria or the key performance indicator areas that are considered during the assessment, I know that they consider the number of times you attend parliament, the number of times you attend committee, the number of times you speak on the floor of the house, the issues you raise, and all this is important because if you don't attend parliament, so how do you represent your people? If you don't speak, so for what reason have you come to parliament? So those are considered, and I think they can add more the kind of projects you are running in the constituency that keep the people moving, because some members of parliament have private engagements with the people. They bought them ambulances, they give them tents, they have service vehicles or vans. When you lose someone, you come and take tents for free, you do what? So that assessment should be conglomerated together in order to get the final outlook of the individual's performance. But yes, I agree, it's good to consider those areas in order to reflect on how the person is performing their roles, such that the voters know that this one can't manage, then they can replace them with others. On whether or not parliament has delivered to the expectations of citizens is a staggered question with a staggered answer, because the citizens don't have a common interest that they rely on. They say, we want this and this and this, but on average, we think that there should be performance indicators that reflect well with the citizens. Yes, to that extent, yes, I think Parliament has done. In some cases, the Parliament has angered elements of the public, especially on constitutional amendments. But in some cases, the Parliament has stood for the people, especially when they have defended their rights, when they have defended when they have attended the people's interests in different circumstances. So it's like decisions that leaders take. A decision is good when it favors you. It is bad when it doesn't favor you. That's how the public perceives it. But on the general whole, yes, I think the 10th Parliament has been progressively proactive, pro-people. I don't know, the 11th Parliament may do better, but what determines on whether they have addressed citizens' interests or not is the question of what affects the citizens generally in the bigger way. Some look at constitutionalism, others look at democracy, others look at service delivery. So it's a combination of all this. A citizen in Kitagwenda will say, they gave me a hospital and the Parliament has approved that, then they say it's okay. Then others will say, no, my MP voted against changing the constitution and says, yes, Parliament is strong. So I call it a staggered question with a staggered answer, because those different actions make different impressions from the voters. But on the general whole, I think, yes, our Parliament has done some work, and I am sure the 11th Parliament can do better if they choose to. But let me say this also. For Parliament to perform well, I think they need good leadership of Parliament, such that you are free to air your views in Parliament without being stopped, and also to be protected fully as a member of Parliament, even when what you say doesn't impress people, doesn't impress the government, doesn't impress others. You need leadership of the Parliament that is strong, that can protect you as a member of Parliament, even when you say is not palatable to those in authority.